Hello, I am Becca and this is my informative speech video. So I decided to do the topic of snails because they have been becoming a very popular pet throughout the years, and as easygoing as they are, I feel like there should be some things that should be kept in consideration of getting them for yourself or even your child. So they are the most damaging and invasive species, and they do carry parasites and toxins that should be kept in mind. And if you're not worried about that, then they do lay many eggs, and their lifespan should be kept in consideration. So moving on to going deeper, talking about the toxins and the damaging they do damage to not only you, but if you have any other pets, that could damage them as well just by having a snail. But they do carry a parasite known as the rat lungworm, and they are able to get this from eating the droppings of rats. And it's not just regular rats, but it's infected rats. So they're able to eat the droppings and they're able to get that parasite, which affects animals. So these animals could be dogs, cats, horses, anything that could be like around your house that could be infected by this parasite. And it could be by eating the snail, touching the snail, playing with it, but those are different ways that they can be carried with it and receive it. So how does this affect your pets or your animals? It affects the central nervous system of the animals, which could do really bad damage to any pets you have. Not only does this affect pets, but it also affects humans, in which it causes inflammation of the brain and the membranes of this kind of area. So that is extremely bad, and it's uncommon, but it could get carried by snails, and you could receive it if not taking good care of your snails, or you're not properly washing your hands after playing with them or feeding them or even gardening them. But they could carry this parasite, which could do very good damage to you and your pets. So that should be kept in consideration. And something else that should be kept in consideration is the amount of eggs they do lay. So they're able to lay eggs and multiply. They're able to multiply several times a year and sometimes multiple times a month. So it depends on what kind of snail you have, that it can lay up to 600 eggs every batch. Those are many snails to take care of. And not only the way they lay eggs, but how often they can lay eggs, which could cause a lot of snails to be all over your house. And something else to think about is the lifespan. So the lifespan of snails is 10 to 15 years, which is a long time, but some snails could have the lifespan of 25 years. So it all depends on the environment that they're in, and this does talk more about how to deal with so many snails. You would have to be able to get rid of the snails before they hatch out of the egg, which is difficult to keep up with because they do lay many eggs. There are many ways to deal with snail eggs if you don't want them to last 10 to 15 years. There are humane ways. One way is by catching them before they're hatched, by keeping them in the little eggs and feeding them to other marine pets you might have, such as fish. And if you do not have fishes or you don't want to feed them to your fishes, there's also another way that's humane, is by freezing that. And that's the most humane way, is just to freeze them. So that should be kept in mind. But if you do decide to keep your snails, they do mate, like the baby snails, they can mate up to 6 days or up to 5 years. But it, again, all depends on the lifespan of, or the environment of your snails. Depends on the food, the environment, all of those things such as. So as fun and easy snails are to keep as a pet, those three main things should be kept in mind, like the parasites, the eggs, and the lifespan should all be kept in mind before getting a pet snail. And my references are Florida Yurds, and then theawkwarddays.com, San Diego.com, and then another one that's thesprucepet.com. But all of those topics do talk about snails and the way they live and the way all of my points have been made. It all talks about them. So, yeah.